The Conversation Motivational Hour with your host, Minister Seon Rodney. The Conversation. Thank you for watching the Conversation Motivational Hour. We love you and cannot wait to see you in person.
This program is being sponsored by Conversational Merchandise Cravings. Visit us at conversationalmerchandisecravings.com. Purchase your cups, mugs, hats, hoodies, and much more. Conversationalmerchandisecravings.com.
Join the Caribbean Gospel Jam family today and experience the incredible music, uplifting talk shows, and powerful ministries. Advertise with us or bring your show and ministry to our platform. Let's spread the joy of gospel music together. Caribbean Gospel Jam Radio. Contact our sales department at sales@caribbeangospeljam.com or call us at 404-692-2284 or email info@caribbeangospeljam.com. And log on to our website, www.caribbeangospeljam.com.
Once again, good evening, each and everyone. Welcome to the Conversation Motivational Hour with no other than yours truly, SGGR, Seon Rodney. I have this evening with me is Dr. Marlene Phillips, making a virgin debut on the Conversation platform. Dr. Marlene, you want to say welcome, Marlene, to our tribe, our community, and our village. Welcome to the Conversational platform and all the affiliates. What do we have? The Conversation Motivational Hour, the Conversation Motivational Date Night, the Conversation Motivational Zero to Hero TV family, the Conversation Motivational Merchandise Craving. What else do we have? The Conversation Small Business Community. What else do we have? The Conversation Together We Rise Ministry in the country called Guyana. So welcome once again to the Conversation Motivational platform. Welcome to the Conversational family. Once again, welcome tribe, community, and village. Our mantra is value. We believe in the reciprocal nature of value, Dr. Marlene. We believe if we give value, we can receive value. So what does that mean? We value those in the trenches, those in the gutters, those that undervalue, those that marginalize. We are down to those like the catch pan while they are broken and fragmented. And with so be doing, we expect them to value us. We are all not perfect, but we are thriving towards perfection. So once again, I want to thank you for your labor of love. I want to thank you for your support and to make time off of your busy schedule to be with us. Family, I know you expect seeing me at 8 o'clock tonight, but because of a schedule change, I have to be at the Guyana Association, our scholarship award, which begins at 6 p.m. And I don't want to change you from your program. So therefore, I have Dr. Marlene Phillips with me this evening, where we fast forward the time, yet we will encourage the family. We want you to be a share warrior. Just share this podcast. Your boo, your sweetheart, your darling, your honey, your husband, your wife, godfather, godmother, even your frenemies, the person in competition with you. I want you to share the podcast. Our topic this evening, our axiom, is going to deal with trauma will prevent you from living your purpose-driven life. And Dr. Marlene going to tell you this evening, more so of her training and her skill set and so forth. But I will let the cat of the bag that she is West Indian just like I do. She is Trinidadian. Marlene, I am a Guyanese Trini, but I'm more Guyanese than Trini. You see, when I go to Trinidad, I am more in Arima and St. James. You see what I'm saying? I travel to Digger Martin and Lavantel and so on and so forth. But I'm more Guyanese, so you hear the Guyana accent from me. And then not only Guyana, I was born in the city called Georgetown. I'm from a place called New Amsterdam, but it's a small town in Guyana. And I grew up in a place near Liverpool, which is a small country. So I am a Georgetownian, Liverpoolian, and Liverpoolian and New Amsterdam. So I spread across Guyana. So with that being said, today, whatever is your time zone, because we have people all around the world. So today, whatever is your time zone, we're glad to welcome us into your personal space. We cognizant that probably right now you're having a pedicure, manicure done, listening to us. Having a great hair day, listening to us. Having a great massage, listening to us. Dr. Martin, people are driving and they're tuning in, listening to us. Probably in their lazy boy chair, they're in their jacuzzi, probably in the landing, the veranda, the patio. You know, are they just tuning in, listening to us this evening? So once again, we want to thank you. We appreciate you taking the time off because we know certainly you're going to leave with some nuggets. You're going to have some takeaways for you, and not only for you, but everything that connects to you. There's a song right that said, everything connect to me when. And this afternoon, because we're dealing with trauma, I want everyone that with trauma connect to you will win. We all about getting you out on track. You may say, why are we getting you on track? We want you this evening to re-enter into society. You may say, I am part of the society. You are part of the society, but you are excluded because of trauma. Today, whatever is our time zone, when we finish, you will re-enter into society. One, finding your sweet spot. Two, finding your momentum. And therefore, you are unscheduled. With that being said, I want to introduce you to my guest. Is no other than Dr. Marlene Phillips. Tell us all about you and everything that we need.
Well, welcome everyone. Thank you so much, Pastor Sean. And as Pastor Sean said, I am from Trinidad. I'm a Trini to the bone, but I reside in the U.S. So thank you so much for inviting me to your platform. I don't take it lightly because, of course, of a man of your standards and integrity and all of that, and bringing someone on your platform that is important because the Bible talks about your reputation, right? Your name, you know. So to come and speak with you all. So I'm Dr. Marlene Phillip. I am a trauma therapist and life coach and a neuro coach. A neuro coach basically is neuroscience. I am the founder of Ready to Restore. It's a foundation for helping those who have been traumatized in the past, and it's keeping them from becoming all who God has created them to be, to step into their purpose, their true purpose, right? And to fulfill that calling that God had uniquely created them, only them, to be. So that's me in a nutshell. I talk a lot about trauma, but I know it's a heavy word, right? I also a purpose alignment and activation strategist. That is the results that I get my clients. So even though I'm a trauma therapist, I help them to align with their purpose and to not just be aware of it and to come in alignment, but to walk that out. And how does that look like? So that's it, basically.
Yes, Marlene. So happy to have you once again. And thank you for giving yourself selflessly to the world. You know, only this morning, I was saying to one of my clients that it's easy for them to come to us, but we have no one to go to. Because sometimes we can make wrong selection and go to the wrong person. And here goes all our effort, all our studies, all our money, all our good name just went down to the wrong ear and to the wrong place. I said to someone also this week, back to Marlene, is that the problem in life is not people as we deem it to be. The problem starts with us Why? I'm going to explain to you because we have a placement issue.
Yeah.
We don't know where to place the people in our lives. We don't
Right.
know where to place people. So we place people in the wrong places in our lives. And then when they hurt us, we blame everyone else and say people make. But we have a placement issue. And we place
Mm-hmm.
the person at the front and innermost portion of our life who have no interest in our life for us. So
Right.
therefore, it's our problem for we are hurt. It's our
Right.
problem for our setback. And I give you one quick example in what I'm saying. Because this afternoon we got to make sure that we substantiating what we're saying with facts.
Mm-hmm.
For
Yeah.
example, you may say this girl is your BFF. I may say this guy is my BFF. In America, we call it best friend. You understand what I'm saying? In Guyana, in Trinidad, it's my girl or it's my girl. All right? So,
Yes.
so despite the where you from and the placement is you find that you get I-hand information. In America, we say I-hand information. In the Caribbean, we say important information or personal information. And you find that you're the one are concealing that information that this person share with you, whether it be sexual information, financial information, whether it be towards their trajectory. They're so happy to come and to tell, like Joseph went and tell his brothers about this trajectory was premature and it caused him so
Mm-hmm.
much. And he thought his brothers had a pivotal role in his life because they're biological brothers. So Joseph put them in the front seat of his life. He made some of them drive his life. They were the drivers. You know,
Right.
you go into a car, you start talking to the driver. Even though you know the driver, you start telling the driver where you're from. You start talking about food and so on and so forth. So what am I saying? Then you recognize every time your best friend, Marlene, is telling you their situation, you are concealed. But every time you tell them, they are revealing. And then afterward, you recognize it's like, man, they say, Marlene, how I telling you my situation and you ain't telling me yours? Because you cannot be trusted with my information. Because every
Right.
time I tell you my information, you look like you get verbal diarrhea. You can't wait to the phone to hang up. You can't wait to leave my presence, and you call everybody. Oh, I didn't know Marlene like boys. I don't know Marlene. I'm not married. I don't know Marlene gets sexual weakness. I don't know XYZ. But this person you put in the frontal part of your life and made them your trusted ear. But the problem with us is placement issue. They can trust you, but you cannot trust them. And that is what
Mm-hmm.
we're going to hit off this afternoon, dealing with trauma. So we're going to start off with people who are going through mild trauma and not knowing that they have trauma in the life that they're going through. And this is one of the example. I'm starting from the mild end, and I'm going to hand you over to the more professional. I'm coming from a chaplain standpoint, mind you, and I'm from a life coach, right? I'm not a trauma major. But from the mild point, people go through trauma that they're not trusting anyone, not taking accountability of the placement issue. What does
Mm-hmm.
that mean? They go through mild trauma with trust issues. They cannot trust anyone. And therefore, what they're doing, they're boiling slowly. Only at the opportune time, they will explode. And not explode as we thought will be cursed out anyone, but they will explode into mental health. They're going to explode into suicide. They may explode into various other things which we call self-sabotage. Because no one you have that you can release some of what you are going through and not coming to accountability that you're suffering from trauma because you cause it by yourself, not knowing where to place people's in your life. Sometimes you place your boss as your icon. Your boss don't have your issue. Your boss see you as someone coming here just to perform a duty and give you a paycheck. But you go to work and expect, oh, my boss is the person entitled to all the innermost workings of my life. Then next thing you find one day you may not be of the optimum and your boss feel hurt. And next thing your boss get your old situation in the break room. Next thing you start suffering from trauma. Sometimes you may put your own mom as your trusted agent.
Mm.
What we're saying, people have to be tested, tried, and proven for the position that they had in their life. For example, Samson trusted Delilah. No one else he trusts with his weakness of his strength. Put her in the front place of his life and it caused him. This evening, we want you at the end of this podcast, take away, revisit your life. Revisit some of the scenes of your life. We're going to get back to that later. You want to rush it where we talk about revisiting the scene and so on. So, Dr. Marlene, the floor is yours, and I want you to speak to the people from a mild trauma to an outburst of trauma and the cause and effect of trauma and the ramifications when they cannot find a trusted source.
Right. Thank you. So there's so much there you said, right? I'm sure many of us can relate to what it is, and many of you, right, can relate to what it is. Pastor Sean just said. So trauma. We hear the word trauma, and I think I love to teach, so I'm going to teach you, right? Is it okay? So I
Yes,
can teach you, and I'm going to break it down in such a way where a 5-year-old can understand, right? Because that's how I like to do it. What is trauma? Because we hear the word trauma, right? Trauma is not the event. Trauma is not the event. I'll tell you why it is not. But trauma is the way our body and how our body responds to an event, right? So, for example, two people can be um, in a car accident. One of the two of them is in the same car accident. One might get traumatized, the other may not, right? And how you know that if you are traumatized or not is by how you start to behave, how you start to act. For example, I was in a car accident, and for years I could not drive. I
mm,
didn't want to drive. And when I started driving again, every time I reach at a certain area, like on the highway where it happened, I would cringe. My hands will start to hold, I will hold onto the steering wheel really tight. That was PTSD trapped in my body. And I didn't do anything about it because I didn't know, right? I got into the accident, went to the hospital, do all of that, and that was it. But I was traumatized unbeknownst to me. How I knew, like I said, is when I started to drive again, then this thing started happening. There were other people in the car with me, nothing, no problem, no issues. As we know as women, right? I have children. Some women do get PTSD after having a baby. So this is why I'm saying trauma is not the event per se, but how our body responds to that event. So that is trauma. So trauma can come in many different ways, and a lot of times people don't understand trauma can be poverty. You can grow up in extreme poverty, right? That can turn to traumatized behavior, and how that show up later on in life. You may be somebody who will work a lot, so you find yourself working over and over again because you don't want to experience what you experienced as a child or what you experienced growing up in poverty, right? Another person may say, you know what, I'm going to live my life and I'm going to spend my money because I didn't have it when I was a child. Like all of the things that we experience in childhood affect us in different ways, right? So one of the things that Pastor Shaw mentioned about people placement or placement, we have a placement issues. So there's something called attachment styles. In childhood, we develop attachment styles, and what that is in a nutshell, it's the psychological bond that we form with our caregiver or our parents, whoever that caregiver was, whether it's your grandparents or your parents who brought you up. The bond that we formed with them in our childhood develops our attachment styles. And according to theory, there are four different types. There is the avoidant, the anxious, the fearful slash avoidant, and then the secure. What it is when it comes to people placement, how that can show up is, let's say someone have an anxious attachment style. That child deals with or experience abandonment, rejection issues, right? Validation. They didn't get the validation that they needed as a child. They had either emotional needs met, and they develop an anxious attachment. When they get older, you find themselves now in certain relationships or putting people in positions or in places that they have no business being, all because they don't want to be abandoned. They don't want to feel that sense of rejection. So even though that's you're in the wrong place, you're not supposed to be there, I still gonna keep you there because you feel a void in my life, right? And that is where we need to develop that secure attachment, because people really like do these things, and not all, like in relationships, also in romantic relationships, right? In the church we see it all over, right? In the job we see it all over, where we misplace, we have people in the wrong places, in the wrong parts of our lives, because we are afraid to lose them, even though they're not good for us, right?
So,
So,
Dr. Marlene, let's bring it down a notch. Let's compartmentalize this thing. If we got to take the whole month to deal with trauma, because listening to it, it's not something we can just. I know it's an umbrella term, and just make sure we put everybody on the umbrella, make sure they don't get wet. Some people may get wet still, even though they're under the umbrella, because they place themselves at the wrong way. Maybe the wind is coming, the rain is coming with the wind from the eastern, and they just get wet. So let's take our time.
mhm.
Where you said as a child, the three placement style. You said what? Rejection.
Though the attachment styles, so
The attachment style. You
the
said
attachment
rejection.
is the attachment styles comes from these issues in our life. So abandonment,
Mm-hmm.
rejection, that's when we don't have our emotional needs met. Those are the things, yeah.
With abandonment now. So people can be in their teenage and even in their adult life and still suffering from the trauma of the abandonment while they were a child.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. You can be a 60-year-old and still dealing with abandonment
Still
issues.
dealing with
Yes.
abandonment. So we want audience, we want you to understand. That's why we're taking our time. Sometimes people go through life and enamored by so much. And I love the topic that they will not live, will prevent them from living their purpose driven life. And they ask themselves, I'm here. And life, I'm not really finding my purpose. Or I know my purpose, but I cannot live my purpose because there is an hindrance between me and my purpose. For example, I
Mhm.
may want to be a purpose alignment activation strategist, but I was abandoned from a child. As close as I know what my purpose is, I always see this coming up in my life. So with that being said, that abandonment, nobody may get over the honeymoon phase of a relationship, because there come a trust factor. Because if mom has abandoned me as a child, therefore the mom that carried me for 9 months abandoned me. Therefore, I cannot get to trust in people because they are too will. So even
Mhm.
if you know your purpose, you know your calling, you know your skill set, you know what you want to do, what you would love to do, but it always seems far-fetched from each end.
Right.
So, Dr. Marlene, there are millions of people are going through this thing.
Mhm.
So we need to help people to understand, one, that they are suffering from trauma, and probably the people who causing trauma. Because you see, in the time that we live in now, more so it's greater than before, where children are bringing forth children. So we are saying now that children were not, parents were not healed from trauma, bringing
Mhm.
forth children now into trauma.
Mhm. Yeah.
So let's just deal with this tree style for a little while.
The attachment styles.
Yeah,
So I want to go back to with the trauma first, right? So trauma keeps us in survival. So that is why it affects how we, like, if we live out our purpose or not. It determines whether we live out our purpose and we fulfill that calling, because it keeps us in survival. So psychologists say we have two brains, right? They just, name it two. We have the human brain and the survival brain, which is the primitive brain. And a lot of us, a lot of society are living in survival. How do you know? Look at your behavior, right? We constantly think everybody's out to get us. We're living on high alert, right? And because of that, the brain's job is to keep us safe and comfortable. That's just two part of the job of the brain. So when we experience trauma, we are in survival, and the brain is keeping us safe and keeping us comfortable. When we have to live out this purpose, we are not going to do that. Because if you were a child and you heard things like you were stupid, you were dumb, you're not good enough, you could never amount to anything, and you hear all of these things as a child, you develop limiting beliefs, you develop low self-esteem, a low self-worth, all of that. And you telling me now I have to become an activation specialist or strategist or a pastor or whatever your purpose is, you are not going to do that. It's going to be very difficult for you to step out into the unknown, because the brain is already in survival. It needs to know how to predict the next thing, right? So stepping into your purpose, like we call, I mean, God called you to step out of faith, it's not gonna, you're gonna struggle with that, because you are stepping out of your comfort zone. You are stepping out of your place of safety. So you're not going to do that, right? So I wanted to just cover that part there for people to understand that the way we behave is based on whether we are in survival mode or not. All right. So that you can tell if you are aware. So with the attachment styles, so these attachment styles, again, we all develop these attachment styles as a child. We develop trauma responses as a child, right? So let's think about the attachment style. So I talk about the anxious. Then how does that, or how would that show up when it comes to your purpose? Again, you wouldn't want to step out of that comfort zone, because you are afraid to be abandoned. You are afraid to feel that rejection. So if it is that is God is telling you to, I don't know, become a pastor, right? In your mind, you probably know what you have to do, but what is keeping you from where you are to where you need to be? Limiting beliefs, right? All of the things that are keeping you back from stepping out. You don't think you are qualified enough. Think about Moses, right? When God called Moses, and he said, I can't talk, Moses." He said, "I can't talk. I will stutter." And God is like, "But I am the one who gave you the purpose. I am the one who created you, because there is a need." Right? The manufacturer only creates a product when there is a need. So you being here,
So, Dr. Marlene, there is cause and there is effect. But the trauma is not the activity, the trauma is after. So, we're dealing with children and parental styles. We're dealing with the trauma is really the benefactor from the children, and the benefactor from the cause of the parent.
you
So,
talking about generational trauma.
so we are helping parents here tonight, or today, or this evening, whatever is your time zone, that you have on your hand an important role. You have a great assignment. I don't want to say a God-given assignment alone, because I may see like I'm stereotyping to Christians. But I'm speaking to the female caregiver, or every caregiver, because not only female are caregivers, but all caregiver. There is an awesome responsibility And we are here to eradicate ignorance and illiteracy and to bring you to intelligence, parenting styles and skills. That's why we're not going to rush it this afternoon. We're going to get till to probably at P or Q. And how you want to run away from this platform with the word the trauma. But we're teaching you that you can be able to teach others. That's why I say I don't have to win the entire forest, just one tree. I don't have to win the world, just one soul. So we are saying that the trauma, the first 7 years, Dr. Marlene, of a child's life is very much important. Because the brain is new. We want to call it like a sponge. The brain is at the absorbent phase. As a matter of fact, even from the womb, babies already can born in distress. You may say, what? The baby's not into the world. The baby haven't suckled and latch on to the mother breasts yet. You didn't hear the doctor say, well, born with your baby, the baby born distress. Yes, the baby can born distress from the womb. Why? Because what was fed to the baby from the mother. What the baby is hearing that the mother is conceptualizing from our environment.
And let me just add there, not sorry to cut you, and also that baby is also receiving everything that her mother has passed on to her.
Oh my God.
So that's how deep.
That brings me to a song. It's not a gospel. It's a dancehall song.
Right.
Right? And because I'm a community activist / politician, I go to all events.
Yes.
All events I go to, I can MC all events.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But I heard this song, and now you say that, think about it. My grandmother passed it on to me, and I pass it on to you.
Oh, yeah. Alison Hines, yeah.
Alison Hines, right. My grandmother passed it on to me, and I pass it on to you. Right?
Yeah.
So trauma have an origin.
Yes.
The cause of trauma have an origin.
Scientists prove that it can pass on from 14 generations.
14
generations. Yep.
Jesus.
So think of it, reminds me of something in the Bible. Curses, yes, and scientists prove that.
Let me come biblical for a minute, because I know you are a minister of the gospel too. I eardrop on some things of you, and I peruse your page, and I see you get ordination, I think about 5 years or whatever. So I know you are part of the gospel fraternity like I do. You remember what Abraham did to Sarah?
Yes.
She's my sister.
Yep.
Isaac did the same thing to Rebecca.
Yep.
So daddy Abraham, son Isaac. Remember, the Bible can't give us the full chronology of everybody.
Yeah.
But we can understand how far does it went on though.
You can. And so David.
This thing is deep, man.
Think about David, right? What about David? Remember, David lost it, and then his son came and raped the daughter, and then Solomon.
Oh, yes.
David, look at David. But when David was dying, they had to bring a woman.
Yes, they bring a virgin damsel, yes.
That's how deep it passes on. It passes on, people, and we have to break the cycle, right? We are the ones who God call, or you probably is the cycle breaker in your family, to break that cycle that you don't want to see passed on in your family lineage, because leave as a family legacy, because this is real. Trauma is passed on from generation to generation until someone stops and breaks it. And what you think is normal in your life, in your family life, is not normal. We've been told it's normal because we grew up in it, right? We grew up in it since we were a child. So we go out into society and we think that is the normal way of how we should live and how we should behave and do things. But it's not normal.
You
It's
know, and
not.
that brings us to a story, Dr. Marlene, that one man take his father to the nursing home. And his father get tired and he rests his father under a tree to rest his feet.
Mm-hmm.
Then he get old and his son take him to the same nursing home. He rests his feet under the same tree. And it go on for a
Mm-hmm.
few generations until one said, you know what, take me back home. So this is to talk to parents and help parents to understand with your skill set that how they can deal with being an originator or being an origin or being the catalyst of trauma that they can, because you see everybody get different parenting style and they think
Yeah.
that their parenting style is the best parenting style and sometimes it's not the best, but they're starting a traumatical experience that will pass the longevity of that family. The way you
Yeah.
talk to your children, the way how you share information with your
Yes.
children, what kind of info. So talk to us as the pro in.
Yes, as parents, yes, that is, it's so critical because we are the one who have to stop it. We are the one who have to break it, right? Parents, us, have to stop that. So when you, how we were taught, like for me, and how I was brought up, it was not. I wasn't brought up in a good environment. I didn't have a good, upbringing, and that, like my parents, or my mom passed when I was 10. So I got with a father, and he didn't really, just let's just say, was not that father figure as to protect and provide, for your children in the right way that you're supposed to do, right? All you got was a lot of, negative words thrown to you. So parents, be very careful of
Mm,
your children, because neglect, let me show you what is neglect. Neglect is your child comes to you, and so like some parents, especially in the Caribbean, we like to say things like, "Well, I give you food and I give you shelter. What else you need?"
mhm,
No, that child emotional needs are not being met. If you think clothing a child and giving them food and that's it, that's everything. That's not everything. Maybe that's how your parents taught you. So you're passing on that same type of parenting skills that is not working. It's not helpful, because in order to break that cycle, we have to do something we have never done before. So how you speak to your children, they are little ones. They have, I mean, respect them also, right? We like to say, "Oh, go sit here. What you all crying for?" Ignoring their needs, and "I will give you something to cry for," and all of these things, right? When they get older, that child, because they didn't know how to regulate their emotions as a child, because you as a parent didn't pay attention, they're going to grow older and have outbursts of anger, or they're going to have silent treatment. They're going to shut down, right?
mhm.
Because they don't know how to regulate their emotions. So they go on, they just do crazy stuff, or shut down, or don't talk at all, or whatever, right? So we have to listen to our children. They have feelings. They also have feelings, and they have their rights too. Yes, we don't want to hear that. We don't want to hear that as parents, because we think, because we are the older one, we are the parent, and you will listen to what I say, right? But the Bible also said, "Do not provoke your children," right? So it says, yes, they have to respect. Children have a responsibility, and parents have a responsibility too, right? We have to grow them up and to train them in the way of that they should go, so that they wouldn't depart from it. So how you speak to your children, how do you communicate with them? Do you listen to them when they come to you? You're on the cell phone. That is more important than them. It bugs me when I see people, when I go out, the parent on the phone and the children is just there. Everybody just on their phone. What is the message that we are sending? So the breakdown in community, in communication, right? Speak affirmations to your children, words of affirmation. Affirm them, validate them, not only when they get an A or a B. If they get a D, validate that. Tell them good job, because guess what? You are affirming the effort, not so much the results. Look at the
Wow.
work that they are putting in, right? So look at that work, and affirm that, and you know what? Encourage them, as opposed to putting them down. and telling them, oh God, that a D. No, you tried hard, you work hard. Okay, how are we gonna do it better next time? So these are some of the things that we have to do to encourage our children. And guess another thing parents like to do is live through their children, live their life through their children's life. We need to stop that. Not because
So, so
let me
Dr.
finish.
This is a wealth of information to get in here for free. This is a package.
Yeah, stop living your life through your children. Yes.
$500 to the complete package. What they get it.
Yeah, we
I
need
like
to
what
stop
you
that.
said about the effort more than the results.
Yes.
And that come back to form the synergy what we were talking earlier in the preambles. Because that child will grow up now to become adult and say, I don't like examination. I get phobia for examination. That child cannot live a purpose-driven life even though they want to become. They're going to tell you. And that, may you open the eyes of my understanding to so many things this afternoon. Right? Because what I do, I deal with a lot of people. And sometimes some things glide by without me interrogating it. But what you were saying, I'm interrogating it in my spirit here. And I meet some people saying, I want to be a pilot, as for example, but I don't like to take exam. They know what they want to become. But because the trauma, mind you, they do not know that they are suffering from trauma because what we said, it's mild. Mild trauma does not give major symptoms. Being talking about epiphorem and all those kind of solutions your body going to release and adrenaline. We get there's the danger zone where you're going to affect other people's with you. This afternoon we're dealing with the mild trauma because people need to know what they are going through. Trauma is in the pulpit. I'm talking to the church. They are pastors and ministers and apostles and deaconess. They are suffering from trauma in the pulpit, praying for others and don't know that they also need traumatical deliverance. Listen to what you said just now. Because parents, I'm from the Caribbean, and our things are the same. It's like, you dance a fire goat, you dance, your neighbor get A, you don't get A, you get B, and you shut that children trajectory. You speak to the future in the present already, like if you were God.
Yeah. Yeah. So that person who asked you to be a pilot, like I said, they know what they want deeply, but they're afraid because that trauma that they experience, that you're stupid, you're dumb, you don't know anything. That is what they keep hearing in their head. So they can't, they have phobia. They don't, but why people have phobias? People don't just have phobias just like that, right? They don't, that's trauma. It's very traumatic. People do not just have phobias just like that. There's a cause to everything.
God reward us, Dr. Marlene, for the effort before the job.
That's right.
And
that's
he did
right.
it to his son. Remember, Jesus didn't do anything. He was just baptized by his cousin.
Yeah.
And his small cousin. No, his elder cousin, sorry. His elder cousin, because John the Baptist was 6 months older than Jesus. That's when he went to Elizabeth, the baby, lipping the woman, so forth and such like. So John was 6 months, not no big age, 6 months older than Jesus. But at the baptism this morning, do nothing. The first miracle, Jesus did throw water into wine. We all know that. He didn't even went to the wedding feast. And what God said, this is my beloved son. Oh my God. In whom I'm well pleased. Then what God said to us, even before we sin, he said, though you sinner like scarlet, what? I'm going to make them
white as snow.
Oh, man, you're doing some things this afternoon. The effort needs to be rewarded over the results.
Absolutely.
Because the results is not always favorable.
That's right.
Even God said the righteous man can fall 7 times. That means he failed.
But what makes him righteous is that he was able to get up.
Oh my God, you preaching this afternoon also.
That's what it is. It wasn't nothing to do with the fall. It's because he was get up. So the effort he took to get up. That's what we don't look at. That is a big mistake that we make. We look at results, result, result. We're so result oriented and we
Mm,
miss the whole journey. That's why a lot of people cannot, like when it comes to purpose, they have this instant gratification issue, right? Where they want to get to the destination now. But life is a journey.
mhm.
Your purpose is a journey, right? You have to enjoy the journey to the destination. Stop being so result focused and look into the effort and give yourself grace for that.
Mm.
Give yourself that prop, that tap your shoulder, whatever, for doing what you're doing, because you're doing it. You're putting in the effort, right? Even if you haven't gotten the results yet, that's okay. It will come. Just be consistent in what you're doing. But people don't look at that. The world teach us. The world is the world. Everybody looking at the end, the end, the end. So a child will come to you with their report book and they have a C. What do you do to that child? Do you ask that child, or you look and you see, if you're a parent who was paying attention, you will know how much effort your child had put in. And maybe in this season of his life, that's the best he could do. So honor that. Still take him out for dinner. Still. And say, you know what? I know you have more in you, but we're going to get there. But I am proud of you for this seed, because that could have been the child's best shot in this moment. I don't mean he can be a C forever. You know what I mean? So don't judge him based on one season of his life.
And I love what you said, and this gave us a segue. So I guess parents at this juncture are fully aware that their responsibility is greater than having sexual encounters. Because people mostly live life for sexual encounters because I mean we were born with that the main appetite surrounds everything else, right? And people shy to say that. I will say it, in that sexual appetite is one of the greatest appetite that God has given to humanity. And that also come under the great umbrella of success that God's had for humanity. And I'm going to tell you why. God even stipulate that sex have to be an agreement that he sanctioned before they even come together. And he give you that, look, the bed is undefined, unbounded, unlimited. Right? Then he said here, for fasting and praying, you don't just jump on your own self and say, I fasted. You have to ask.
Mm-hmm.
You have an insatiable appetite for, and then he said, you know what, two shall become one.
One.
Right? So we all have this great sexual appetite, the floodgates open. So we want people to understand is a greater responsibility than sexual encounter, legally or not, to bring a child into this world. But there is where a generation start from you can encounter what we're talking about this afternoon. From your parenting style, trauma will prevent you from living your purpose-driven life. The you meaning your children. And Dr. Martin, I want you to go now to this part that you make when you talk about the parents try to live their life through their children. That is a critical juncture. I have seen it many times. And most time I see this come from the hands of professionals. Sorry to say, but I said, you see, I have the liberty to say. Because sometimes we have, which respect is ultimate, but sometimes it's hard to bring corrective to professionals. But you find professionals oftentimes try to live their life through their children. Doctors want their children to be doctors, and they try to steer the child in lies and teachers and so on. You see what I'm saying? So help us to understand that this traumatical experience and see where parents want to live their life to their children.
Through children, yes. And of course, I have to go back to the Bible when it comes to children, because the Bible says children are an inheritance from the Lord. He also said that train up a child in the way that who should go? They. That means every single one of us in this earth has a unique, specific purpose. And when a parent is trying to impose their purpose and their will for that child, that's where the confusion comes in. And that's why there are a lot of people, right, do it like they're like a misfit in their career because they are parents who imposing their own lifestyle, trying to live their life, because some parents also may not have gotten to be the doctor,
Mm-hmm.
and now they want that child to be the doctor. Like, whose purpose is that? Is it that child's purpose or the parent, right? So there are parents who do that also. So the ones who didn't made it, maybe, well, you can still go back and do whatever, but whatever reason they didn't go fulfill their purpose, they now want to impose that onto their children. And a lot of people, there's a big issues where when it comes to understanding your purpose. In order for you to understand your purpose, you have to understand your identity.
Mm-hmm.
And when it comes to identity, it means you're talking about your core values, the values that you have. Who values are those? Is it really yours or your parents or your grandparents? Whose values are those? And there are so many people who do not know their true identity. They took on belief systems and values of their parents.
And this is the thing. We want parents to understand, professional parents more so to speak, because I'm very target and purposeful here, who want to live their lives through their children. And some of the standards they claim that are non-negotiables. The core values are non-negotiable for some people. So
Mm-hmm.
you want to live what you have not achieved through your child to achieve for you and that child. So you
Mm-hmm.
find it affects your child marriage
It does.
because you want to live the marriage that you never had through your child, that you feel a sense of gratification.
That's right.
So you're telling your child that these 1, 2, 3 are non-negotiable, and you're throwing the family.
Mm-hmm.
The girls in our family, these 3 things are non-negotiable.
Mm-hmm.
She has to develop her own identity.
That's
She has to
right.
develop her own core values.
That's right.
Because she's dealing with a new person. She is starting a new life.
Leave and
Oh
cleave.
my.
Leave and cleave. Leave and cleave. What is that? That
Leave
says
your core values behind.
leave and cleave. And a lot of us have not left. We're still carrying it because maybe we don't know how. But that's why we are here, to teach you and to show you how. Because in order for you to even make any type of adjustments, you need to be aware. Self-awareness is
Mhm.
critical. So what we are experiencing, so what you have been experiencing or feeling, you may think, oh, something is not right, something is not in alignment. That's it. And a lot of people, when your core values are not in alignment with your purpose, it will be, you will feel like you are just like a chicken without a head going all over the place, because that's how it feels when we are not really walking in our purpose, because there's so many obstacles and so many things in our way that can keep us from actually fulfilling that purpose. So many things, and trauma plays a huge part in that.
And that go for male and female, mother and father. I'm not taking
Mm-hmm.
gender role here, no gender preferences. I want to be fair as I can be. And also, we want Dr. Marlene, if you can help people to understand the importance of their developing their own non-negotiables, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because for you to live a purpose-driven life, there's certain core values is not negotiable.
Right.
Because when you develop the non-negotiable, you can able to deal with your traumatical experience. Because they were ever now coming before you. More so you're a Christian, you know how to be targeted in prayer.
Mm-hmm.
So help people now, talk to us how we can able to deal and develop our own self of non-negotiable core values, and how we can help us to combat trauma. Some things
Right.
that we should not really be like time. You deal with it. You deal with that, and
I
then
mean, that's and core values depend on the individual, right? So the first step I share with my clients, I have something called the pathway to purpose, right? It's a system. The first step is to understanding your, like I said, your core values, your identity, pinpointing that. But how do you even get to that point, right? If all your life you've been taught what to do, what to believe, where to go, how to dress, how to do this, all of that, because everything starts in that first 7 years, right? Those formative years. That's the template. A lot of us are still operating from that 7-year-old template
mm,
as an adult, right? So, how do you now break away, or I should say, use the term rewire, reprogram your brain? You have to now sit with yourself and ask yourself, who am I? Do you really take away the title, take away the address, the color of the skin, all of that? Take it away, take it away, take it away, because that's an identity you got when you enter into this world, but that's not your real true identity. Who are you? So that is how I start um, with my clients, is sitting with them and we draw a map, understanding their core values, because they cry, because you know why? When they understand that some of the things that I believe is really not what I believe, but those are the things that I was told to believe. So if you have beliefs in your life that is not serving you, it's not helping you develop and to walk in that purpose, it's not yours. It's not yours. And you have to give it back, right? So all of these beliefs, all of these values, you have that's where you start. You have to start there, and once you are able to identify your values, that's when you can start building from there. Your true passion, what makes you alive, what lights up your soul. Because I'm telling you, we all have that flicker of light that is within us that lights up our soul, that when we get up, it says the reason why we are up, what makes us smile, what makes us keep going despite the obstacle, despite the traumas from the past. When you start to understand that, that's when everything is going to change in your life. So
so
we
so
start there.
we have to know one the placement, right? Where we place people's in our life, who we place what, right? People that are one vault, and you know what's a vault? Something that conceals.
Mhm.
People that you place in your life who understand how to be confidential, right? Who know the sprang of confidentiality code, who know the ramification of confidentiality code, that are held to that standard. Those are persons you should put into your life in front seat. Because once you lost confidentiality code, you cannot gain it back. It's very
Mm-mm.
hard to regain back people that have confidence. It may seemingly, and we talk about how that does work, because
Mhm.
people stop giving you their information but want to hear yours, because you're not trusted anymore, because you're no longer a confidential source or a
Mhm.
confidential person, and therefore you will be in your trauma. So we're talking about your core values. Then we could even come to dealing with time. Your time should be one non-negotiable. You don't negotiate your time, because time and time leave you, doctor.
Get back.
Time is a currency. Talk to us about that for a minute. With no exchange. We
Mhm.
can equate how
None.
many time money circulates in an environment, or in an
None.
ethnicity, or in a tribe, in a community, in a family. We can do the calculation. The dollar said dollar circulates. Nobody can deal how many times circulates, because time is not coming back. So that's
Mm-mm.
non-negotiable. You cannot
Mhm.
negotiate your time. Think about who you're spending your time with. What does your time mean to you?
Mhm.
So we can able to deal with trauma. Then
Right.
doctor says, do not live your parenting now. Do not live your life through your children.
That's right.
Then doctor also said to us this evening about the cause of trauma. Trauma is not the activity, is after. So doctor also said that parent is the cause of trauma. Then doctor also said that trauma can go as far to 14 generations. Jesus Lord. So Dr. Marlene Phillips, how can a child at this juncture that listening to us who want to up the ante in the emotional intelligence they gather this evening, the biblical intelligence they gather this evening because we deal with scriptures to prove our point, the educational intelligence they garnered this afternoon because we came from professional standpoint, how can we help that person that recognize that they are a recipient of trauma, or a parent have come to understand that I am the cause of trauma that will be in continuity or in continuum in my family? Let's hem it with this premise this afternoon.
So first, with the parent, I'll say, do not feel guilty about, you see, that guilt and shame. Um, we, if we know better, we should do better, right? So a lot of us have been parent. The way we parent our children is the way we have been parented, and it keeps going on until now we find a model and an example, because hurt people only hurt other people, right? So it doesn't matter whether we say, I will never, for instance, myself, and I will use me, grow up in a home, all I would hear my father curse, 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 curse. That's it. That's the conversation. He will curse you out, you do something wrong, he will curse you out. I said I will never do that to my children. And guess what I did? The very same thing. Even though I consciously said I would not curse my children, I did the very same thing. Because if there is no other model, or you don't give your brain something different to work with, what you say, it doesn't matter. It's what has been programmed into our subconscious mind is what runs the show, right? So that's why people will say, I want to lose weight, I want to do this, I want to do this. It doesn't matter what you say. Words is just fleeting, like seriously, right to a point. So I would say to the parent, seek professional help unto the children too. But I want the parent to not feel guilty, but take responsibility, right? Say sorry. Like I had to do that to my children. Ask for forgiveness and start your healing process, right? Seek professional help. But you have to get to a place of taking accountability, responsibility, ask for forgiveness, and move on. No guilt, no shame, none of that, because that's not going to help, right? God says God does not condemn us. He don't condemn us. That's the enemy. So if you're feeling condemnation, is not good, right? But your responsibility is to make it better. And what you can do to make it better is to do that. But children who need that help, also, I would say to reach out. Reach out to a professional, right? They can reach out to me, find me on Facebook, or find somebody who you know, who you can trust, or, and reach out to them. Because that's going to be the beginning, right? I always say, I cannot change anybody. If you want help, when I needed help, I found it because I was desperately needed it. There was no shame in my game. There was no pride. I needed help. I got sick and tired of staying the same way. The pain of staying the same was too painful. So I had to get up from there and go seek help, right? So until the pain of staying the same becomes stronger than the pain of change, you will never change.
So that brings us to a point that you make also, and I make a good note of it, and I will implement it because I think as a parent I need to do more in this factor. And thank you for opening the eyes of my understanding. And that's, I tell you, that we all are I never meet my end of my learning curve. I always open for learning. And I take away from you also that reward effort over results.
Yes.
And
Please.
I will take that and inculcate it a part of my parenting style for the rest of my life.
Amen.
Because I am more driven by I'm a result oriented parent. And I will
Mhm.
reward results. But when you tell me about the effort, and it opened my understanding, if I reward effort, therefore results is going to come.
Mhm.
So once again, Dr. Marlene, I want to thank you so much. I don't want us to tell the audience where they can find you, where they can meet you, and how they can get in contact with you, how they can able to reach out to you and to understand more about trauma and bring it into alignment with the purpose-driven life and so on. So let us know. And Dr. Marley, we're going to continue this for a little bit, which we talk about Saturday coming. We'll go back to our regular schedule, which is 8 p.m. to 9.
8 p.m. Okay.
8 p.m. to 9 p.m. on Saturday. We're going to continue this trauma because, as we said, it's an umbrella term and we just want to pack everything into. And I want
Mhm.
you to maximize because this is a cost effect that you are getting for free. My chaplaincy
Mhm.
cost me over $1,000. I didn't get it for free. Studying my life coaching cost me over another $1,000. I'm still in school and it costing me. You guys
Right.
for free.
Uh-huh.
So I want you to maximize on what you're getting because this information is helping one, breaking generational curse, breaking ancestral ties, helping with your health because your health is your wealth. And if you have your health, you enjoy your wealth. If you don't have your health, you cannot enjoy your wealth. Because as we go down in trauma, you're going to recognize that
Right.
trauma is stealing from your tomorrow. It's borrowing from your yesterday. We already talked about yesterday. But as we continue going to see how trauma borrow from your yesterday and affecting your tomorrow.
It does.
Yeah.
It
So
does. So I just posted the link in the chat for I have an upcoming master class.
yes.
I mentioned with you. It talks about ignite your purpose. Time to live a life of fulfillment and meaning, right? Because a lot of people they are not operating in their true purpose. That's why they're not happy.
Yeah.
That is why you're not happy. And trauma can be one of the things or the main thing because trauma affects every aspect of our lives. It does, every single aspect. How we show up in relationships, how we show up in our jobs, how we show up as a parent, how we show up as a friend, how we show up in the church. It affects every single part of us. How we show up if you're a business owner, everything, it affects us. And when we are not living a purposeful, meaningful life, for example, Pastor Sean sitting here, you have to love the conversation, right? Because it's part of your purpose.
Yeah.
You love it. So you look forward to doing it.
But
Unlike some people,
I was once a recipient of mild trauma, which we deal with this evening, right? I was once a recipient of mild trauma. I didn't grow with my parents just like you, right? My mom was a teenage mom, didn't know what to do. And she was a side chick, of course. Being a side chick and then a teenager, you know what to do, you don't have the power of become wife and all those kind of stuff. Then she have me, which is we call out a wedlock, right? That's why I'm very potent in certain things that I do not knock anybody. That's why I said, we value because people look at me in the early, they will devalue me. One, I born out of wedlock. Two, my mom is a side chick, and so on. And people can do all that they can do in terms of verbal cricket,
mm-hmm,
right? And then I end up in a less fortunate situation. I grew up in foster parents.
mm.
So imagine the trauma that I came from,
So why you call it mild?
mild trauma,
Why you
and
say mild trauma?
When I say mild trauma, it's not trauma that will cause me to be affecting others. When we deal with epipephrine and adrenaline, we're going to deal with that is outburst. We're going to shoot
Yeah.
people and them kind of thing and jump off
Yeah,
building.
but it's, you see, trauma, and I should have talked about it earlier, but I didn't because of, I don't know, we were going to different directions. But there's like, I don't like to trivialize trauma because trauma is trauma,
Mhm.
right? Because guess what? Somebody else could have experienced what you have experienced, and that could have been huge for them to make
Mhm.
them trip off, right? So that is why I said trauma is really how your body responds to your level of resilience, right? So it's
Love
how
that.
your body of it's how you respond to that based on your resilience that you don't even know you had. Somebody else may not have that level of resilience, so they may probably had committed suicide or probably would have just tripped off, right? So that's why I'm saying, like, I don't trivialize or call trauma small or big because trauma itself affects us in different ways.
Yes.
But we may
And
think
then,
it's small, right?
yeah. And then I didn't grow up where there were financial stability,
Mm-hmm.
right? I didn't grow up in an inculcated environment of education stability,
Mm-hmm.
right? But thank God that I am able to deal with it frontally and heads on because I was exposed to the intelligence.
Right.
So today, tonight, whatever is your time zone, we are offering our time at the expense of our finances and effort in studying to give to you because we see the need of investing in you. So now for you to invest in yourself and to go and shape your world, go and change your world. With that being said, Dr. Marlene, I want to thank you once again. Thank your family. I want to thank your platform, your audience. I want to thank you from your busy schedule once again to sow your labor of love to the Conversation tribe, community, and village, and to bring your effortless to this podcast, to this platform, and to help us to deal with this trauma that is affecting the life of many. Doesn't have color, doesn't have gender, doesn't have
Mm-hmm.
creed, doesn't have status, doesn't have a name, but we can confront it this afternoon. So once again, thank
Amen.
you. And audience, you're gonna see and hear from us Saturday again from 8 to 9 while we continue on
Thank
travel.
you.
Living will prevent you from living your purpose driven life. God bless you.
Thank you. God bless.